Hello fellow hobbyists, I'm Jason and I'm going to show you how to paint the Blood Axe Kommandos from Kill Team Octarius right here on Level Up Hobbies. Let's get painting.
Start off priming the model black. I'm using Stynylrez black surface primer, but you can use the black primer of your preference. It doesn't really matter at this point. And I follow that up by basing the majority of the model with some gray sear and leaving some shadows on the lower parts of the model. This is because I'm going to be using a lot of lighter color paints and I want those tones to really shine through. Next I take some Elysian green and I thin it down to where it's almost the consistency of a wash, and I just start painting it over all of the skin tones, or all of the skin portions of the model. And after this dries, I build up another layer until I'm satisfied with it, and it's light enough that going over that gray sear makes it really pop. An alternative to using the Elysian green on this would be Plague Bear Flesh contrast paint. It's really basically the same color, some slight differences, but all in all you'll get the same result. Next I use some Liquitex acrylic ink sap green through my airbrush, and I just kind of build up those shadows on the underside of the skin. And I do this very gradually, just like little taps of the trigger to build up that color. And it may look kind of off at first, but even like the little overspray up the sides and stuff, it all blends in the end. So don't worry too much about it. Next I chose Mechanicus Standard Gray to use on the pants. I wanted them dark, but I didn't want black because his boots and his backpack are going to be black. So I just wanted something a little bit lighter that'll stand out, not really conflict with the upper part of the model, the skin. That's the main part. Next I pick out a couple parts of the model that I want black, and I use Black Templar's contrast paint and paint those. Next we move on to Militarum green contrast paint for his jacket. And this is a very nice desaturated green that works very well for this fatigue style clothing. And even though it looks close to the skin color when it's wet, when it dries it's a much darker green than the skin is, so there's enough difference to separate them out from the model. Now I'm going to hit all of the metal parts with some Iron Warriors. This is a very nice dark silver and it has great coverage. It's probably one of my favorite metallic paints at the moment. Next I picked out some parts of the model that I wanted red to have that little pop of color, and I painted those white painted those with Corax White to begin with, and then used Flesh Tear's Red contrast paint. Unfortunately, I forgot to record that, so you didn't get to see it, but you get to see the final outcome from that. It makes a great red, and it just adds that pop of color that the model really needs. I add a little bit more variation to the metal by painting some of the bits in Balthazar Gold. Just switching up the tone of the metallic is a great way to add a little bit of variation and still keep that metallic feeling to the model. I add some color to the hose for his power claw, and for this I'm going to use some Nazdrag yellow contrast paint. This will give me a nice kind of deep orangish yellow to work with. And with all the major components on the figure itself painted, I move on to getting the base painted. And for this, I'm using German Camo Medium Brown. You can really use any type of base color you want to get the effect that you're wanting here. I pick out a few more details. To start, I use Rakarth flesh and I paint in the teeth. This is a pretty nice bone color, and it's got great coverage for something like this. And then after that, I follow it up with some Corax White to pick out some of the icons and glyphs on the model.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you're enjoying the video, give me a like down below, and other ways you can help the channel out. You can share my videos, you can comment on my videos, and don't forget to subscribe. Alright, let's get back to painting.
Next, I hit the model with an oil wash. I use a dark green and black oil wash for the skin tones, and then I just make a deep brown oil wash using some brown oil paint and black oil paint, and I paint this over the entire model. You don't have to be easy on it, just coat it, leave it on there for as long as you want. Now I'm going to let that wash sit on the model for a few minutes, and then I'm going to take some just makeup sponges and start to gently just dab and clean the wash off the surface. This will leave it down in the recesses, and it makes some pretty nice transitions. I will warn you that if you rub too hard on the parts that have the contrast paint, I've noticed that it will take it off, like down to the base coat. So just be careful with that. And we're going to move on to highlighting. So for this, on the skin tone, I'm going to start off with a highlight of Nurgling Green. And I'm going to thin this a bit and just kind of start to build it up gradually, because I don't want a really harsh transition at this point. So I mixed some gray sear in with that Nurgling green, and I used that as the highlight for his jacket. Now I'm going to use some Vallejo Game Air Somber Gray, and I'm going to start highlighting up all the black portions of the model. I go back in with the Rakarth flesh and I bring the color back to the teeth. I grab Cadian Flesh Tone and I start adding highlights to all of the red bits in here. I'll do some dot, scratches and anything along the edges. I try not to do a super hard edge highlight just because I like the orcs, equipment to be banged up and dinged up, so there's no like real straight edges. And now I'm going to take some Stormhost Silver and highlight up the rest of the metal bits. This goes for the silver and gold. And again, I try not to do any like super hard edge highlights. I like to do nicks and dings, just so it looks like the metal's pretty beat up. I go back to the Cadian Flesh Tone and I make a glaze out of it with some Mamian Medium, and I just build that up on like the tips of the ears, the lips, chin, and any scarring that he has. You can see all like how he's stapled back together, and I just build this color up. Once that's done, I go in and just gradually layer up a little bit of like Magos purple contrast paint over the lips and in that scarring, just to kind of emphasize it a little bit more. And with that, it really finishes the model. It was a great bunch of models to paint. I'll just warn you not to get bogged down with all of the details because there are a lot. Focus on a couple, just to emphasize specific things like the face or the weapon, and move on. Or you can be painting these for hours. But these were definitely a fun paint, and thanks for joining me.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me here on Level Up Hobbies as I painted these Blood Axe Kommandos from Kill Team Octarius. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Thanks again, and remember, build, paint, and play tabletop games. Later.